Call it revenge if it helps you sleep. I'll call it balance.
I was exactly 120 seconds late, just 2 ticks of the second hand. Yet somehow those 2 ticks blew a crater through everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and my own breaking point. Mom stepped onto the porch with her suitcase clicking after her like an obedient little pet. "You're late," she chirped. I forced a grin that tasted like metal. 2 minutes late, Mom. I slid out of the driver's seat to help, right when the front door yawned open, and Lauren sashayed out. Matching suitcase, matching smirk. Time slowed, heart drum rolled, and I swear the sky dimmed a shade. "What's going on?" My voice was steady the way an active volcano is steady. Mom lit up with that artificial brightness she reserves for Instagram and uncomfortable truths. "Sweetheart, little change. Lauren's coming instead of you. She's been so stressed." Instead of me. I had spent 2 years soldering overtime hours into cash, booking non-refundable dreams, 5-star hotels, midnight Seine cruise, private patisserie class. And with one bubbly sentence, Mom unplugged me from my own gift. Lauren didn't bother acting guilty. She pivoted one hip like an influencer about to drop a code for 10% off betrayal. "Thanks for understanding, sis." My smile calcified. Dad shuffled out behind them, suitcase held like a white flag no one asked for. He avoided my eyes the way liars avoid polygraphs. "This is unbelievable," I said, but the words emerged as smoke, thin and furious. Mom patted my arm like I was overreacting child me. "Don't make this a big deal. You work too hard. You can take another trip later." Translation: sacrifice yourself, again, for the golden child. My name is Violet, and right then a tectonic plate inside me cracked. I inhaled, tasted the dust of old obedience, and let it out. "Let's get going," I muttered, voice flat enough to skate on. If they wanted Lauren more than me, fine, let them choke on it. The drive to the airport was morgue quiet except for Lauren's nonstop verbal selfies. "Oh my gosh, Mom, did you see that TikTok about Paris? I need those vintage Dior shades. Think the tours will leave time for shopping? Grip the wheel. Breathe. Don't detonate." Mom cooed. "We'll make time, honey." We. Not I. Not even a glance in the rearview world where I existed. Halfway there, Dad cleared his throat, the sound of a man trying to staple a conscience back together. "Thank you for driving us, Vi. I know this feels unusual." "Unusual," I echoed, tasting blood where I'd bitten my cheek. Interesting word. He sank into silence, seatbelt pressing like guilt. Lauren leaned forward, perfume first. "You're not mad, right? This is, super generous of you." "Of course," I said, smiling the kind of smile sharks give seals. Airport curb. Flashing hazard lights. I popped the trunk, stacked their luggage like tombstones. Mom hugged me, warm body, cold heart. "Thank you for understanding." "Sure, Mom." Lauren wheeled past, ponytail swishing victory. "You're the best, Violet." They vanished through the sliding doors, and with them went the last scraps of my patience. Home. Bedroom. Laptop glow. One by one, I severed the lifelines of their holiday. Hotel, canceled. Tours, refunded. Upgrades, obliterated. Each confirmation email felt like a stitch closing in my chest, sealing a wound instead of bleeding. Phone buzzed before their plane even touched French soil. "Mom, Violet. The hotel says our reservation doesn't exist. Call now." "Dad, we're standing here with luggage and nowhere to go. What happened?" Lauren, "Pathetic move, Vi. Fix it." I let the messages pile like dirty dishes, no longer my chore. When I finally answered, Mom's fury whipped through the speaker. "What did you do?" "I canceled my trip," I said, voice calm, almost gentle. Cruelty dressed in silk. "How could you?" You decided I wasn't part of it. Why should my money be? Silence thick enough to carve. Then the predictable guilt offensive. We're family. We don't do this. I laughed. Sharp, delighted. Exactly. We don't do this to family. Click. Phone off. World blessedly mute. Day 2 of radio silence tasted like freedom. By day 3, curiosity nibbled, so I sampled the voicemail buffet. Mom cycling from rage to tears, Lauren shrieking entitlement, Dad sighing disappointment like secondhand smoke. Delete, delete, delete. Grace, my best friend, arrived with lattes and wide eyes. Your mom called me. Of course she did. I told her you'd call when hell had air conditioning. I snorted. Grace raised her cup. To boundaries, she toasted. Boundaries. An exotic new cocktail. I liked the burn. Weekend. Dad called. I answered. Let him step onto my battlefield. Violet, this has gone too far. Your mother's hysterical. Lauren's devastated. Stop. I folded laundry with surgical precision. Tell me how far is too far. 2 years of savings? A single sentence that erased me? Help me with metrics, Dad. He exhaled gravel. You've always been the reasonable one. Translation, the doormat. That's not fair. Fair? My laugh sliced. You replaced me like a spare part. I just don't want to lose you. Then you shouldn't have gambled me. Click. I spent the next mornings rediscovering little joys. Fresh paint on living room walls, croissants from the Saturday market, sunlight that didn't feel like judgment. With every mundane triumph, I felt chains drop away. By the time their taxi coughed up the ruined travelers in their driveway, I was there, coffee in hand, serene as a storm's eye. Lauren stomped up first. I hope you're proud. We bounced between Fleabag hostels. No tours, no Eiffel pictures, ruined. I sipped. Bummer. Mom's voice trembled between fury and plea. You embarrassed us. People stared. You embarrassed yourselves, I corrected. Dad tried the olive branch. Can we talk inside? I prefer open air. Honesty needs oxygen. I spelled it out, each syllable a nail. I am done being last choice. Then I walked to my car, their stunned faces shrinking in the rear view like cheap souvenirs. At home, I opened the abandoned packing list and struck through every line. Clinical closure. Paris was ashes. I needed new fire. I typed solo travel ideas and felt the universe tilt. Italy whispered back. Weeks later, Rome's humid night air kissed me awake. Cobblestones echoed under my own footsteps. No family footsteps to silence me. Gelato dripped down my wrist. I licked it, grinning, tasting a sweetness they could never cancel. On the Spanish steps, I opened a fresh journal. Goal number 1. Never beg for a seat in a life I paid for. Florence, sunset over the Arno, turned the water copper. I toasted it with cheap Chianti and sketched a new map for my future. One where I am the compass, not the consolation prize. When I landed back home, Mom's text awaited. Hope your trip was nice. Maybe we can talk? Maybe. I unpacked souvenirs. Hand-painted mask from Venice. Courage from everywhere. And placed them on the shelf where their expectations used to sit. Then I brewed tea, opened my journal to a blank page, and wrote a title that felt like thunder in ink. The day 2 minutes changed everything. And trust me, the story is just warming up. I thought the story was done. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even the midpoint. 2 weeks after landing, I walked into the office lighter, sun-kissed, and armed with a new mantra. I do not apologize for existing. The universe, apparently impressed, tossed me a reward. My boss, Janice, waved me into her glass cave. Sit, she said, eyes glittering. Your idea for the cross-market rollout? Greenlit, and the regional director wants you leading the charge. Promotion, pay bump, corner seat with a sliver of window. I floated out, already composing texts to Grace, until my phone buzzed first. Unknown number. Hey, Violet, it's urgent. Call me. The message clung like cobwebs. I pocketed it, deciding urgent could wait until after celebratory pastries. That night, while chasing crumbs across a plate, I answered. A bored male voice read from a script. Ma'am, this is First Horizon Collections. We're following up on the past due balance for a personal loan you co-signed. Pause, I said, fork frozen midair. I don't co-sign. For anyone. Silence, shuffle of papers. Application lists 1 Violet Grace Bennett, DOB May 9th, last 4. My stomach nodded. Who's the primary borrower? Lauren Bennett. Blood roared in my ears. Same sister who swore she could never afford Paris. Apparently, she could afford fraud. I hung up before the anger detonated through the line. My living room blurred. Every lamp seemed too bright, every shadow too sharp. Adrenaline whispered, what if this ruins your new credit? Your new life? I rang Lauren. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. On the 3rd attempt, I left a message so calm, it crackled with static. Call me back tonight. Non-negotiable. Hours passed. Midnight blinked. No call. I wasn't surprised. Cowards sleep fine on beds of lies. I emailed copies of my ID to the bank's fraud unit, then brewed coffee strong enough to peel paint. Dawn looked surprised to find me still upright. When Lauren finally rang at 8:07 a.m., she launched into offense. Do you have to leave psycho messages? It's ruining my morning smoothie vibe. Collections called me, I said. 5 words. Flat. Lethal. She exhaled like I was dramatic television. Okay, yes. I used your info, but chill. It's just until my influencer brand deal clears. They love my engagement metrics. You committed identity theft. Oh my God, Violet. It's family, not theft. Teamwork. I almost laughed, almost. Pay it by Friday, I said, or I file charges Monday. I hung up before she could weaponize more nonsense. Friday came. Payment didn't. Monday dawned sharp and cold. I walked into the precinct, pulse steady as sniper math, and filed a report. The detective's eyebrows climbed his forehead. You sure? Most people shy away from charging a sibling. I'm not most people anymore, I said. Pen met paper. Signature sealed fate. Open loop alert. I didn't tell my parents. Not yet. Suspense tastes better when it simmers. That night, Grace barged in with Thai takeout and zero subtlety. You actually pressed charges? I warned her. Grace whistled low. This is the point of no return. That point was 2 minutes late on vacation day. We clinked spring rolls like champagne flutes. Outside, thunder rolled. A cheap, foreshadowing cue, but effective. 3 days later, Lauren was served. Instagram went silent. Her feed of oat milk lattes replaced by a single black square, captioned, taking a mental health break, #selfcare. Comment section imploded. I didn't gloat. Much. Then Mom called, storm already loaded in her lungs. How could you humiliate your sister with police? What will people think? I leaned against my counter, twirling the phone cord of my cordless rage. Maybe they'll think she shouldn't steal identities. She was desperate. So was I when you stole my trip. Mom's gasp sounded like a window cracking. We never stole. Stop. One word? And for once she did. Actions have consequences. If Lauren wants adult privileges, she gets adult penalties. Mom fell silent. I pictured her pinching the bridge of her nose, recalibrating manipulation settings. Finally, your father wants a family meeting. Tonight. Family meetings. The Bennett version of trial by fire. I agreed, curiosity hungry. What tricks waited? Evening. Their living room smelled of lemon polish and tension. Dad sat stiffly. Mom paced. Lauren slouched, hoodie up, eyes red. Whether from tears or filters removed, impossible to tell. Dad started. Lori made a mistake. We'll repay the loan. Can you withdraw the charges? No. Mom's head snapped up. You owe us forgiveness. Wrong verb. I walked to the mantel, traced a photo. Young Violet and Lauren on a seesaw, me grounded, her airborne. Metaphor much? I owe you nothing. You owe me trust, you shattered. Lauren muttered. This is so dramatic. I faced her. Drama is calling a felony teamwork. Dad rubbed his temples. There must be compromise. There is, I said. I drop charges after full repayment plus legal fees. Until then, we let the court calendar run. Lauren snapped. I don't have that money. Then maybe learn overtime. I smiled, a mirror of the smile she'd worn that dawn at the porch. Roles reversed, irony applauded. Mom's voice wobbled. You'd ruin your sister's future? She already tried ruining mine. I placed the loan documents on the coffee table like a dealer laying aces. Your move. I left them fermenting in their own choices. Outside, night air felt thin, victorious. Grace texted, How'd the Inquisition go? I typed back, verdict pending, stakes ascending, days blurred. Work promotions soared. Ironic how cutting toxic ties fertilizes success. I hired a lawyer. Lauren launched a GoFundMe titled Help Me Beat My Sister's Betrayal. Comments split between hashtag Team Violet and hashtag Poor Lauren. Social media war. Unexpected collateral. Boss Janice called me in. HR flagged your name trending. Everything okay? My sister's attempt at crowdfunding innocence. Janice nodded, surprisingly supportive. Handle your family, your seat's safe. Relief? Yes. Also ammo. I screenshot her support, evidence I wouldn't be bullied professionally. Week later, Dad visited my house unannounced, holding an envelope and his dignity by a thread. We raised the funds, he said, voice dry leaves. Lauren will pay. You'll drop charges? He handed envelope, cashier's check covering principal, interest, fees, and, surprise, an extra $5,000 apology surcharge. I stared at the numbers, pulse stone still. Why now? His eyes, bloodshot. Because I finally listened, instead of defended. Listening's cheaper than loans, I said, but softer. I accepted the envelope. Charges will be withdrawn tomorrow. I did email my lawyer, CC detective, case closed. Internet forgot within hours. Feeds move faster than forgiveness. But I remembered. Scars remember. I thought peace would follow. Plot twist. Peace is boring, and my life had one more card to play. Promotion came with travel, company retreat in Bali, paradise, plus boardroom. I arrived to cocktails, neon sunsets, networking sharks. On day 2, Janice tapped my shoulder. Prep for tomorrow's keynote. You're co-presenting. I swallowed nerves, rehearsed lines, polished slides. Midnight, laptop glowing, ocean hissing beyond the balcony. Another unknown number pinged my phone. Think you're safe across the world? No signature, but the punctuation smelled like Lauren. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, check your email. I did. Anonymous inbox had forwarded a .zip titled Violet Secret Files. Heart hammered. I opened. Inside, fake spreadsheets implying I'd embezzled corporate funds. Ridiculous, but damaging if believed. Third message. One call to your board and you're done. Drop the envelope money at Mom's by Friday or your career melts. Blackmail. My sister's grand encore. I almost deleted everything. Instead, I copied files onto a flash drive, breathed deep, plotted. Next morning, I walked into the keynote hall in a red dress that murdered doubts. Presentation flawless, applause like surf crash. Afterward, I asked Janice for 5 minutes private. Showed her the blackmail texts, the zip. Showed my evidence log. Phone screenshots with timestamps proving threat. Janice whistled. Your sister's creativity belongs in prison. Agreed. Company's cybersecurity team traced the messages. Spoofed account, IP pinging from my parents' Wi-Fi. Proof. There it was, Lauren's final suicide note to her credibility. I pressed no charges this round. I forwarded findings straight to Mom, with a 2-sentence note. Delete the lies by noon. One more stunt, and the world gets the receipts. No reply. By noon, the GoFundMe vanished. The fake emails dead. Silence, the rarest Bennett gift. Bali sunset crowned my victory. I dipped toes into the pool, felt the water accept me with no family strings attached. I whispered a promise to the pink gold horizon. No one writes my life but me. You'd think that's the end. But I warned you. I traffic in open ends. So file this under to be continued. Because somewhere, a ticking clock counts down to the next test, and I'm ready. Suitcase packed with boundaries and a boarding pass to whatever battlefield or paradise comes next. A week after Bali, I landed in Tel Aviv, adrenaline still fizzing from the keynote, when Grace hit me with a text that slapped the jet lag clean out of my skull. Emergency. Your parents just listed your childhood house for sale without telling you. Call me. I phoned her before my luggage even hit the carousel. Explain. They're downsizing. Fast. Realtor pics went up this morning. Family portrait wall blurred out, but I'd know that staircase anywhere. The house held one last thing that mattered. My grandmother's cedar hope chest. My legal inheritance, bequeathed in writing, full of vintage jewelry and letters worth more sentimentally than financially. But still mine. I'd planned to move it once renovations finished at my place. Grace whispered the obvious. If it sells, you may never see that chest again. I'd fought for money, dignity, freedom. Now I was fighting for memory. Stakes felt different. Quieter but deeper. Taxi to the old neighborhood. For sale sign gleamed like betrayal in the lawn. Inside, realtor lady in stilettos chirped about open concept potential, while potential buyers wandered, rating my childhood like a buffet. I slipped past them, heart sprinting. Bedroom hallway smelled of fresh paint masking ghosts. Closet corner, the trapdoor to attic storage. I climbed, flashlight on phone. Cobwebs, dust snowing from rafters. And there, half hidden behind a tarp, the cedar chest, still locked, still mine. Footsteps below. Realtor voice. Attic's unfinished, watch your step. A couple began climbing. No time. I dragged the chest to the hatch, hefted it down step by creaking step, every thud echoing like war drums. Buyers stared. I smiled. Family heirloom, pre-sold. Realtor sputtered about liability. I marched out, chest balanced on a dolly I stole from the garage. In the driveway, Mom arrived, of course, hair wild, keys jangling like alarm bells. What are you doing? Collecting what's mine. That chest is part of the staging. It's part of my inheritance. I pointed at the notarized tag still stapled to the underside. Mom's face drained as if she'd bitten a battery. Neighbors watched behind curtains. Mom hissed, "Can we talk inside?" "We have an audience already. Why stop now?" I loaded the chest into my trunk, slammed it. Mom's voice cracked. "We're selling because your father's medical bills are strangling us." "Medical?" Newsflash. "What bills?" "He didn't want you to worry." Tears now, real or strategic, who knows? The stress from everything, it triggered heart issues. Guilt tried to wiggle its way back in, serpentine and sly. I felt its fangs graze, but I held. "I'm sorry he's sick." Selling the house makes sense, hiding it doesn't. Mom sagged, years dropping onto her shoulders. "I've handled things badly. I see that. But we're drowning." I inhaled the past, exhaled the future. "We'll discuss later. For now, the chest comes with me." She didn't fight. Small victory, big ache. At home, I pried the chest open. The cedar scent punched decades of nostalgia. Letters from Grandma, World War II locket, quilt squares, and beneath them, a sealed envelope addressed to me in her spidery script. Hands shaking, I unfolded the letter. "My dearest Violet, if you're reading this, you finally claimed what was always yours. I hoped you'd inherit more than trinkets. I hoped you'd inherit backbone. I saw the way your family leaned, unbalanced, and I worried the weight might crush you. Consider this proof you survived. Inside the false bottom of this chest, I left seed money. Use it for something that belongs solely to you. If anyone deserves freedom, it's the girl who kept everyone else afloat. Grandma June. False bottom?" I traced panels, lifted one. Beneath, a thick envelope of crisp bills and a tiny safe deposit key. My breath left like steam. Grace arrived to witness the treasure. We counted $50,000. Neither of us spoke for a full minute. Finally, she whispered, "Plot twist queen. Your grandma." Seed money. Freedom fund. Endless possibilities spiraled. photography studio, travel blog, non-profit. But first, I messaged Mom. Found a letter from Grandma. She foresaw everything. We'll talk tomorrow after I review Dad's medical costs. Transparency only. Mom replied one sentence that read, like, surrender. Thank you. Next morning, I requested itemized hospital invoices. The debt wasn't a bottomless pit. Insurance had covered much. Outstanding balance, while hefty, was tame beside the Cedar fortune. I ran numbers, called a financial planner, and drew a hard line. I'd loan them half, interest-free, structured, documented, with clauses. Lauren excluded from access, full disclosure moving forward, no more surprise sales. Mom agreed quicker than I expected. Desperation, melting pride. Delivering the check felt odd. Not victory, not defeat. An armistice. Dad, pale but upright, hugged me with a fragility I'd never felt from him. I'm proud of the woman you became, he whispered. Real tears this time. I let them land. Lauren? She ghosted. Word on social. She'd relocated to LA, rebranding herself as a wellness guru. I muted her. Some chapters deserve silence. Months passed with surprising calm. I funneled the remaining seed money into a side hustle, Boundless Frames, a boutique travel and portrait photography brand. Clients booked fast. Apparently, people love photos that capture rebellion. One rainy Thursday, Grace barged into my mini studio swinging a newspaper. Front page. Local entrepreneur funded by secret inheritance. Family feud healed? My story, half true, half myth, leaked from a chatty realtor. Nosy journalists spun it into a redemption arc. Grace laughed. Fame looks good on you. I rolled my eyes. It's ink. Tomorrow it lines bird cages. Still, the article triggered a surge of bookings and a polite email from Mom thanking me for representing the family positively. Old me might have basked. New me saw the subtext. You're valuable when you bring good PR. Noted. Summer approached. I planned a new solo journey. Patagonia this time, icy peaks calling. Before booking flights, a letter arrived from Grandma's lawyer. Apparently, that deposit key unlocked a box leased decades earlier. I drove to the bank, heart jazz drumming. Inside the box, an old Leica camera, pristine, and another note. One day, Violet, you'll see the world through your own lens. Literally. Capture it. Sell the prints. Tell your story before others twist it. Love. June. I cradled the Leica, felt gears click like destiny. That night, I drafted a project proposal. Backbone Atlas. A photo memoir of women who burned bridges to build roads. Patagonia would be chapter 1. A publisher bit within weeks. Advance paid travel in full. On the eve of departure, Dad called, his voice steadier. I had a checkup. Doctors say I'm improving. I wanted to thank you. Not for the money, for the push. You forced us to face reality. I blinked at the dusk horizon. Thanks for telling me. One more thing, he added, tentative. Your mother and I are in counseling. We're trying to rewrite old patterns. Hope flared, warm but cautious. That's good. Keep going. The next morning, passport packed. Like a snug in my carry-on, I locked my door and paused. The house felt different than 2 years ago. No longer a pit stop between acts of service, but a launch pad entirely mine. As I rode to the airport, phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number again. My pulse spiked. Lauren? But the preview read, saw your story. Standing ovation. A friend from Paris you never met. Odd. I opened it. A selfie of a woman in front of the Louvre, holding one of my published photos. The sunset over the Arno, in postcard form. Caption, your ripple reached me. I laughed, sudden and loud. Influence without stealing a cent. That was the legacy I wanted. Impact by authenticity. Plane boarded. I settled into my seat, journal open. I wrote. 2 minutes late started the avalanche. Avalanche cleared the path. Path leads to mountains. Keep climbing. The jet engines roared. Runway blurred. And the ground. Along with every version of Violet who ever settled for less, fell away. End? Hardly. The story stretches out there beyond the clouds. full of impossible peaks, cedar-scented memories, and the click whir of a Leica capturing proof that once a girl chooses herself, gravity changes its rules.